The certificate, it's more than just a piece of paper. For me, it's, I'm a wrestler. I can once again, going back to that 5-year-old version of me, I can look at him and be like, dude, look, like, I'm a wrestler. I said it, we said we were gonna do this when we were younger, and now it's real. Now I can go anywhere. And so it's very rewarding for me. I knew, or how do I put this? I know that everything that I've done is worth it. Just to say, like I said, I don't take anything back. It was all part of the journey. It all kind of made me stronger, made me smarter, made me a better person. Also made me a better wrestler. But it's great. That's great.
We have reached the finale for Crash Course, and I forgot to mention this. This is the third school that's been highlighted throughout this podcast, so it's a little surprising. It's the third school to cover, but we're going to end our season. I've seen you so many times. I'm still trying to get a gauge and trying to figure out how you're doing things in the ring. We have Armani Sage, another cool wrestling name that I've actually come to remember. So thank you so much for having you on.
Oh, thank you for having me. And you got to save the best for last, of course. So thank you.
I'll ask this because I think Diego mentioned it on the premiere of the season. To love yourself. How is that such an important thing, not only as a wrestler, but for you as a person to really know your wrestling journey?
For me, a big thing, I've always wanted to be a wrestler since I was a kid. I mean, if you can ask anyone that's known me since I was younger, 5 years old, It's been a dream. So I hate to toot my own horn, but I see myself as a pretty attractive person. So even before getting into wrestling, I guess I was a little bit of a player, you could say. And it just kind of helps you be with confidence, if anything. And for that, with confidence, if I know that I look good, then I know that I can translate that in the ring. And I know that I can stand, above everybody else, hypothetically and literally, because, you're in the ring. The ring's 9 feet above the ground. But it's just knowing that I look good, knowing that I believe in myself. And so for me, it's just easy to translate all that. Self-love, man. That's the best way I could put it. I don't know how to really explain it. I love myself. That's it. I love looking in the mirror. Yeah, that's it.
Because hybrid, we're highlighting hybrid, of course.
Absolutely.
How long have you been with hybrid, from training all the way to getting your certificate out while you're training?
So I technically started in March of 2022, right at the end of it. But then something happened. It's been years now. There was a fire next door and the school closed down for about a month. So I really didn't get to start training until about May of 2022. Cause that's when I actually was there every day. And so from May 2022 up until October 31st of 2024, this past year, I was just training. That was about 2.5 years of just nonstop, just going at it.
Yeah, because it sounded like it's very accelerated on how you're doing things. I'm curious, did you pick things up as you're learning the ins and outs and the foundations of your training over at Hybrid?
So for me, just because I've been watching wrestling ever since I was a kid, so certain things came to me a little bit easier. I kind of already knew the character that I wanted to be. I kind of knew how to talk in a promo, just because I would, as a kid, even as a teenager, as an adult, I would just kind of practice. I would talk to myself in the mirror, or I'd be in the car in traffic and I'd just cut a promo, or, just trying to feel it. The wrestling stuff, the actual wrestling, was a little bit harder because I wasn't an athletic person by any means.
Right.
I had lifted a couple weights when I was younger, but I never really did cardio. Nothing as intense as wrestling was. So for me, that was harder. And then, of course, I went through a couple injuries through training, which, would just set the process back even further. But overall, I mean, I did it. So I can say that I did that.
Okay. Because also, because the one thing I noticed, especially because I've seen you in a couple matches, both in Hybrid and in Baratro Pro, did charisma kind of play into your character as you started to really learn the ropes in the wrestling ring?
Yeah, at first, and it was weird because, when you first start, you kind of play around as a baby face or a good guy. And so for me, it was easy to do, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it. And then I talked to the coaches at Hybrid and I was like, hey, I just really feel like if I'm a bad guy, if I'm a heel, I really feel like I can make things work. And so they gave me a shot and I just man, I'm going to be honest. I love talking crap to people.
Oh yeah.
It's super easy. It's a lot of fun, but no, like you said, it's charisma. I just felt comfortable doing it, and it felt like
Mhm.
oh, that's right. That is what I needed to do. So just going bad was honestly the best thing I probably ever done for myself.
Who did you look up to? I'm sure you mentioned being a fan at a young age. Who did you look up to as basically your foundation on how you're building your character? Because a fan is one thing to be like, hey,
Sure.
I want to be HBK, but for a wrestler
Mhm.
and to understand the inner workings of characters, which wrestlers did you look up to and really carry that into your own personality as a wrestler?
So in that aspect of like who, because I mean, I looked up to so many wrestlers, but if we're talking about the nitty gritty and like the character and where all that comes from, it's a mix of honestly a lot of people. I just kind of take, we'll take Edge. I love Edge. It's always kind of been,
Mm,
he's up there in my top three. And then I like to blend it with a little bit of, earlier Chris Jericho. So around like the mid 2000s, I love that version of Jericho.
Y2J, this Y2J
Yes.
era kind of. Okay.
Yeah, so he's had, he was doing the whole talk show segments and everything, and he had like his gear was just flashy. It had the sparkles and the bedazzles on it, just looked cool. And then Triple H, I mean, I loved, how he could play both sides. He was a very aggressive, very serious character, but he can also go out there and be funny and make people laugh and be entertaining.
Mhm.
And I feel like all those guys had that factor. And I feel like when I look at myself, it's entertainment at the end of the day, but I definitely love to turn up that aggression, turn up that seriousness and show like, hey, it's not just a comedy thing. I can do that,
Right.
but there's so much more that I have to offer. But I would say maybe those three were probably the biggest ones that helped, I guess, build the foundation for the Armani Sage character.
It's kind of cool too because I was thinking how to build that confidence over time and how much has the coaches been really lifting you up, but also to the people who are around you. And we'll delve to debut, but at least just going through the motions of how
Mm,
wrestling class is going to be. How much has that support system with the coaches and people around you helped you out in your character?
I think for me, it took a minute to kind of build other people's trust about me, because there's a high turnaround rate. There's a lot of people that come in and I guess they don't expect everything to be as hard as it actually is. And that's, physically, mentally, it's training, we're training for our dreams. So there's
Right.
definitely, I think, a feeling out period before people are like, okay, you know what? This person's going to take it seriously. They're going to put in all the work and they're going to make it. And once I reach that point, I mean, everyone's been super helpful. I mean, from all the grads that have been there,
That's good.
the newer students that come in, the coaches, everyone's been great. And the criticism is like, it's constructive criticism. It's real, but it helps you understand how you can be better. And that's what I appreciate
Mhm.
about it because I don't want people telling me, oh, yeah, you did good, you did good. Like, no, I want to hear where I can be better because I want to be the best. It's my dream. And thankfully, everyone at Hybrid's been able to provide that for me. So I'm very thankful.
What's been constant advice to you? And it tends to repeat. I'm sure like feedback is what's the one like criticism that gets repeated a lot for you to really nail yourself down to not doing
I would think the old classic one, just slow it down, kid. That's been the one thing that's kind of,
it. Yeah.
but
Right.
it's funny because it applies outside of matches too. Like I remember, just going through a lot of stuff personally and going to Marvel. He's like, hey, just relax. Like you're fine. Keep focused, stay locked in, and you'll be fine. And so it's just something that I've kind of applied to life in general. It's a marathon.
Mm.
It's not a race. So we just got to slow it down, take our time, and we'll get there. The journey, we're just trying to enjoy the journey pretty much.
Yeah, because what's interesting too, because all of the time that you've done and your debut happened, do you remember when or what events that led up to that debut?
Yeah. Oh man, that was crazy. It's honestly just like a whole
All
thing.
right.
So we had Gabe Sapolsky come in for a seminar.
Okay.
And I was in Coach Funaki's ring. So the way that hybrid was is, if you're not a grad or you're not in the grad ring, you don't get a match. You're still training. But I don't remember how exactly, but I reached out to Coach Marvel and I was like, hey, I really want to do this Gabe seminar. And so I ended up doing it and ended up getting a practice match, which was like my first match in front of a crowd. And
Oh.
people loved it. People were really happy with it. So then that ended up leading to my debut match at NostalgiaCon, the first NostalgiaCon con in San Antonio. I wrestled Jesse James. He beat me up. It hurt, but it was
What does it at that point?
right. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't Jesse James. I mean, that guy's just a legit black belt. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
but no,
Right.
it was a great experience. I wasn't expecting it. It just kind of hit me, and I mean, it's kind of like the way that I can think about it is like there's a treadmill, right? And the treadmill's going, going, going.
Yeah.
You just have to jump on that treadmill and go. And thankfully, I caught myself. I didn't slip. I didn't, bust my face on the treadmill, but it was just taking off from there. And thankfully, I've been able to keep the pace and keep running, and I haven't fallen off yet. So
That's the ultimate goal, is for you to keep going. Because I was going to ask
mhm.
this too, because you mentioned having that high turnaround of people just stepping away and seeing the people who are like, all right, I can't do this anymore. Within your time of training, how much of it is for you to keep going? You're seeing people walk left and right, and this is not their dream, but for you to have that dream, what keeps you going as you continue training past your debut?
For me, and the way that I always look at it is I always mention the 5-year-old version of myself, the one that was like, yeah, I want to be a wrestler. And for me, he's always there. He's always watching me train, always watching me
That's good.
wrestle. He's always motivating me because, I told myself I don't want to work in an office. Who wants to? I couldn't do it. I couldn't like pay attention in classes. I just
Right.
nothing clicked for me. But wrestling thankfully did click. And every time that I feel like, I want to give up or I just feel like my body can't push, I just think back. I think to why I'm doing all of this, what it's all for. And that helps me to keep going. Just can't let the dream die.
I was gonna mention too, because like you can do so much in your time in training, and to have
Sure.
your circle of your classmates and the coaches and the people who are in your personal life, did that really
Mhm.
elevate you to keep going? And we'll discuss this later on with getting the certificate. Leading up to it,
Sure.
how much of the people that are with you really push you to keep going in your training?
So truthfully, outside of wrestling, outside of training, outside of the people that I've, seen day in and day out, I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of relationships. It was a lot of people that couldn't understand why I was doing what I was doing just because I was gone 4 days out of the week. And then of course, if we have
Okay.
shows to help out with, it's just people that don't understand you have to make time for this.
Mm.
But in the other hand, with everyone at Hybrid, everyone that we train with, I've made so many closer friends, better relationships, stronger relationships,
Okay.
people that I know will have my back through thick and thin, and vice versa. I'll go all the way for them. And I won't admit that publicly. Like, you won't ever hear me say that in a promo, but behind the scenes, I love everyone there.
That's
It's
good.
kind of like we're a TP, man. We just push on each other, we keep each other up, and that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, because I think, because like, and I'm seeing this with so many. I mean, not just in the indies, but also like through the bigger promotions. Like, to have the sacrifice of really having this journey that you're in. I was thinking about what were those sacrifices for you to really push yourself into your wrestling journey in your career?
Oh man, there was a lot of sacrifices. Like, if I lay it all out, like, I lost everything, man. Yeah, I got injured, lost my job, lost my place, lost my car.
Mm.
It was a lot, but it's weird because I was at that proverbial rock bottom, and I felt like there was nowhere that I could go. But going to
Mm.
training and having wrestling as an escape is just, man, it's magical. It's crazy. It's weird how you can go somewhere and train for 3 hours and every issue that you have is just gone.
Right.
So having to sacrifice everything, but going back and gaining it through wrestling, I mean, I have no complaints. I would do it again. It is what it is, but it's all been worth it for me.
And it leads up to getting that certificate and having that banner in the
Yeah.
school, and the
Yes.
work that you've gone through, the life events that you've come across, to see that paper and that banner, for you to say, I'm finally a wrestler. I'm sure
Yeah.
that must
Somewhere
have
there,
been like, it's somewhere there.
man.
It
Yeah.
must have been worthwhile, despite having, a lot of obstacles, but you gained so much. And I always see it as a
Mhm.
net positive. And has that
Yeah.
been that notion for you, to have that net positive?
Yeah, absolutely. The certificate, it's more than just a piece of paper. For me, it's, I'm a wrestler. I can once again going back to that 5-year-old version of me, I can look at him and be like, dude, look, like I'm a wrestler. I said it, we said we were gonna do this when we were younger, and now it's real. Now I can go anywhere, given if they book me. But I could, I have that opportunity and I can be a wrestler. And so it's very rewarding for me. I knew, or how do I put this? I know that everything that I've done is worth it. Just to say, like I said, I don't take anything back. It was all part of the journey. It all kind of made me stronger, made me smarter, made me a better person.
That's good.
Also made me a better wrestler. But it's great. That's great.
And it's like all gas, no brakes at that point too.
Yeah.
That's always been like in a wrestler's journey. It's like there's no stopping. Because I'm gonna ask. I'm
Mhm.
sure you've wrestled all over San Antonio. You've done United. You've done RCW.
Mhm.
To go out and to go outside of San Antonio and being outside of your own home base. Do you remember your first booking outside of it?
Yeah, well, because booking, I used to do announcing. So, do you consider that a booking? Because I do remember that, and that was, I basically got booed out by the entire crowd because they hated me as an announcer.
Uh,
But wrestling wise, I think the first time I wrestled outside of San Antonio was I think it was another NostalgiaCon event. It was out in Houston, so it was like a little anime
okay.
convention. But I would say, like, truthfully, for another outside promotion, yeah, we'll say when I went to Corpus the second time, and I was actually wrestling with them.
Do you remember the
It's
promotion?
yeah, GCWA. Uh,
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool.
so working with them, because like I said, I announced for them the first time, the crowd hated me, but then I got to go back and I got to be a heel, and I got to really, okay, you guys hated me, let me give you something to hate for real. It's always a little nerve wracking going somewhere new, but once that music hits and once I hear, Suck My Kids start playing, it's like, all right, I'm locked in. It's go time. It's not Armand, it's Armani Sage. We're going hard. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what does it for me. I'll always be nervous, I think, going somewhere new, but once my music starts playing and I hear that crowd and then I get them to really start, booing me at that point, it's a
You did your
cakewalk for
job.
me.
You did your
Yes.
job. That's what you did. Because like being a heel, because it's such an easy thing to do. And I'm going to ask this
Hmm.
to where you can still adapt. If let's say I don't know promotion from let's say like New Texas is like, all right, can you go face for a while? Or if they ask you to say, all right, can you just switch it up for a bit? Like, were you easy to adapt with something that you're used to now? I wouldn't say it's foreign, but rather going back to being a face whenever that situation calls for you.
Sure. And I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, just because it was, something I was thinking about. But when I first started, I was kind of that baby face role. So it was very much a lot of, come on, guys, get on your feet. But now I think if I were to go baby face, I think I would still use aspects of my heel character,
Oh, so
but
it's a
doing
tweener.
it
It's a tweener.
almost, yeah, almost in a sense, like where I'm still gonna be the mean person I am, but not to the fans, but to the opponents. The people that are being
I
the
see.
heels. I can be mean to them, and with me, I'm a flirty character. I'll flirt around with people. So it's like now I
Mm.
can look at the fans, and instead of being like, get out of my face, I can be like, hey, you wanna call me? And they,
buddy,
they
buddy,
love it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
buddy,
And
buddy.
people, because I remember one time I was like, heel, 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 and I had to work a face match, and I really was just like, oh, I don't. I didn't know how to approach it, but I was just, I saw these older women in the crowd, and I was like, I see y'all, and they loved it. They were, they were,
That's
they were super happy with it.
you had a Cupid's arrow
So
by at that point. You're like, boop, like there it
yeah,
is.
so that's how I do
Like,
it, man. But I feel like at this point now, if I had to go face, I kind of have the ideas of how I'd want to approach it, and I think I could pull it off.
I think also too, because now that you're all over the place and seeing how each city is, was there, I wouldn't say uncertainty, but rather, did it take time to really warm up to a city outside of where you're at in San Antonio?
Truthfully, no. Honestly,
Okay.
this past or couple weeks ago, I had my Austin debut. So I wrestled Saturday for Uncanny, and then Sunday I got to wrestle at the Cookout. And so that was my first time ever working in front of an Austin crowd. And I just kind of went out there. I did exactly what I do anywhere else. And thankfully, I got the reaction that I wanted. The people didn't like me.
Mm.
But I still had people coming up to me that haven't seen me wrestle, and they've kind of seen me before, but more, going with other wrestlers. I'm in the crowd. I'm helping with, ring teardown or ring setup. So they've seen me, but they haven't seen me. So I think now that I was able to do that, I feel like personally I could go anywhere, and just be me. And I think I'd have
Right.
exactly the reaction that I wanted, because I feel like now I know what I need to say, or know kind of the reaction that I need to give in order to give the fans reactions.
And looking back and with your training with hybrid,
Mhm.
did that really at least give you a solid footing on doing stuff outside of San Antonio? Did that help that a lot as you're going out on
Yeah.
your own?
Yeah. Because I mean, there's at hybrid, there's maybe 30 or 40 other students. And out of that, about 10, 15, 20 are grads. So coming up, once you first get to the grad ring, now you're working with 15 other people. And these are people that you've never worked before in your life. So it kind of tests you. It gets you ready because you're not going to know every opponent that you go out there and wrestle. Sometimes you've never met this person. It's your first time talking to them.
Right.
But you kind of you figure it out. Wrestling, it's weird. It's like a second language. I just do it. I really can't
Yeah,
explain it. I
just
don't know
like
how to. I just feel
whatever,
like
just throw it out there.
yeah, I feel like just once you do it and once you get comfortable with it, at that point, it's like flowing. It's like water. You're going.
Exactly, because like I'm sure like there's a lot of wrestlers that you faced that you worked with down
Mhm.
the line. Like which ones? I'm sure like the San Antonio guys will be there, like Casey and all these guys. But someone outside of San Antonio, which one did you had the pleasure of working with outside of San Antonio?
The GCW guys or GCWA guys, I mean, they're all super nice, super cool, super friendly, and it's easy to talk to them, which is good. So now, like you said, we can go out there. I've never worked with these people before, but we can go out there, put on a good match, get, the crowd into it, and hopefully send them home happy.
How has communication been like such a crucial process for people that you were
Ugh.
working outside of San Antonio? How has it been? How is that crucial for when you're working a match with the guys outside of like hybrid or San Antonio in general?
I would say with some of the hybrid guys, we can do matches where we don't have to communicate. Like
Okay.
Jesse Funaki, for example, I feel like me and him, we just go. Like, we don't have to really talk about anything. We kind of know each other's moves and we're comfortable. But outside of wrestling, or outside of San Antonio, if I don't know someone, I'm definitely going to communicate. I'm a very big person on
That's
trying
fair.
to make sure everything is how it needs to be. Because I look at wrestling as weird as it is, I look at it as a movie and I want every scene to be perfect. And so it's like, I'm like, hey, let's, maybe, okay, we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit, but if I give you this move, I want it to be set up like this, or I want you to react this way, or I want to react this way.
Okay.
Um, and it's, making sure that everyone's comfortable, because you don't ever want to go in and people are just, man, I don't want to work with this guy. I don't want to do nothing with him.
Mm.
I want it to be like, oh no, I love him. We talked, we worked things out. And that's another thing. You have to be willing to compromise. I feel like that's a hard thing now with wrestling is people don't want to
Yeah.
compromise. People always, they want to get a cool move in or a cool something. But for me, my main thing is I want to tell a story. I want people to be invested in exactly what's happening in my match. And I don't care about getting my moves in just because it's like, it's not a big deal. For me, if the
Yeah.
crowd can be like, oh man, you remember that Armani guy and how he was doing this and that and just talking and doing this. For me, that's the icing
If
on the
it
cake.
complements with the match, that's the main thing. Because I'm going to ask this
Yes.
too. Because with the stuff that you're learning right now, do you often take point on matches, or do you listen to what everyone else is going to do for you to listen? It's like, okay, what can I do to make this match more exciting than where it should have been?
Sure. I usually like to, and it's weird because I'll be in bed a lot of times. You're trying to sleep, and then my mind just starts going, and I start thinking about a match, and I start thinking about certain spots and like how I could work with someone. But usually, what I'll do is I'll go and I'll just see what people have. I like to pick other people's
Okay.
minds before I start giving out my ideas, just because some people might have a better idea than me. But then it goes back to communication. If I feel like we have two good spots, maybe they're not in the same spot in the match. Maybe one's happening here, one's happening here, but
Okay.
communicating to now bring them together. How can we make this one and this one, pretty much merge? And for me, it's just such a big thing being able to communicate that and working with other people and just again, sacrificing, not getting all my stuff in for the beneficial of the match. How can we make that match better? Yeah, I guess that's the best way to put it for me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense too, because I think now that you're actually on your way and with the experience that you have, 2025 is still here. We are more than halfway through. And are there any milestones or goals that you would like to reach for the rest of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. When I started the year, I was kind of a freshly new, or newly graduated, so I still really didn't have any reps. So my goal for this year, and it still is ongoing, is I'm just trying to expand throughout Texas as much as possible. I'm trying to get my
Okay.
name, in all corners of Texas. So I want to go, I want to be in Houston. I want to be in Austin. I want to be in Dallas, and El Paso, Corpus, Laredo, like wherever there's a spot. I just want to get my name out there. Because hopefully for next year, we can start expanding nationwide, start going to other states,
Hmm.
and just trying to grow the name as much as I possibly can.
Because I was going to ask you, because I'm sure going through different cities and how much of your reps have really shaped and honed you to be a better wrestler within that 1% change in your.
All of them. I feel like every single rep, even if it's in front of 10 people, if it's in front of 200 people, I feel like each one is vital to the man that I am today, to the wrestler that I am today. And I've only been doing this for about a year, truthfully, like wrestling about a year. But in those 30 matches that I've had in that year, I feel like if you go back and you watch the very first match I had and the most recent match I've had, it's two different people. And for me, it's huge. I love that I was able to change so much. And for me, I've changed for the better. And it's just progress. It's advancement. It's getting better. So every rep counts for sure.
Yeah, because within those, because I like how you mentioned you have 30 matches and to catalog everything and whether you're over or not, how much has cataloging really helped you at least understand, okay, what can I do? Or I shouldn't be doing this, but I can do better because of that.
Yeah, no, cataloging is a huge thing for me. I love looking back at the matches that I once had. And of course, if there's a link to it on YouTube or something, that's always great because I can go and watch that match back. But I think so. When I had the match with Alberto El Patron in RCW, that was my 25th match. So for me, like cataloging it was like, whoa, I'm 25 matches in and I have such a high caliber opponent. It kind of blew my mind a little bit. And it still does, when I'm looking at the quality of the matches and then having other like vets come in and they'll say, man, you're, 30 matches. When I was at 30 matches, I wasn't doing that. Or when I was at 100 matches, I wasn't doing that. So it's cool for me. It makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right track. Everything that I've done is worth it. I'm not just being a wrestler for, no reason. There's purpose behind it. So it's a very satisfying feeling, to say the least.
You get one of two choices. I will let you choose one. What's the one match that you catalog that's the best? And what's a match that you would think you would consider room for improvement? One of those two.
Out of the best, man, I would say the best one that I had, and this is just a personal one, just because I was very proud of myself, is the first match that I had with Jaden at Hybrid.
Okay.
I feel like that was the first match that I really got to be a leader and I got to, I was the vet in the situation rather than being the rookie. And I just felt like we had so many great ideas. The crowd was super into it. And it was just fun. It was such a fun time. So definitely shout out Jaden. I don't like him, but I'll give him a shout out.
That's so passive aggressive. I love it. Because I was thinking, wow, I'm derailing myself when that happens. But because I was thinking, especially now, like, and we're going to be close to wrapping up. So this is a very I like how we ended it like this too, because if you notice each of the episodes, I mean, Diego is kind of like the black sheep, but like seeing the progression from Sky and then Jaden, just by the time we record this, it's out now. You see like the progression from someone who's trying to build to someone who's already building to now where you're at. You're establishing yourself as one of the premier wrestlers here in Texas. So like seeing this finale kind of like really brings together what the point of the series is you get to see the coaches all the way to someone who's already making their mark within the Texas scene. So this was a nice little send off to where the season's heading.
Awesome. So Sky, Jaden, Diego, all of that, I think it's a good way to look at hybrid. Diego's a coach. When I walked in day one, Diego, I don't know how long he was a graduate for, but about a month or two after that, he became the cardio coach for everyone. So since day one, I've pretty much known Diego as a coach.
Right.
We'll just go most, I guess, backwards. Jaden came in. I remember when Jaden came in, I was in Funaki's ring, and, seeing his development from that time to now has been insane. And then even when now Jazz came in and she was starting out on the turf and I was in the grad ring, and I think I was just about to graduate when she came in, but seeing her development, now she's in Coach Funaki's ring. And then with Jaden just became a graduate. So it's really cool seeing when people can come in, and I can say that I've seen them start on the turf, where I started at, and I can see them work, and I can see that they put in, they sacrifice, they've done everything. And now they get to have that kind of crowning moment. And even like with Diego, like seeing him, he was kind of there at where I'm at now, but now 3 years later, seeing him, now he's starting to get his name out there, and he's, winning championships, and he's doing crazy things, and he's helping every single student that comes in at the school with their cardio and just trying to get everyone in the best shape possible. Just because that's, we go, part of my friends, but we go balls to the wall every single day. And that's kind of the main thing with hybrid is we train the way that we work. So when we're having practice matches or practice spots, we're giving it 110% every single time that we're in there. And yeah, it hurts. I've gotten hurt off of it, but it's part of that journey. I feel like it's made me better. And I feel like even though I've only been able to wrestle for about a year, my 2 years of training prior to that, all of it has helped me become the person that I am today. And I feel like without it, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. We would not be having this interview.
Right. So before we even go into the final questions, let's just acknowledge some people as we're ending this season. So I want to say thanks to Coach Marvel, to Don Juan,
yes,
Coach Funaki, for just giving the time for these 4 weeks, because this has been such a very interesting season just because of how I'm kind of structuring stuff differently on this season. So there was a lot of changes, but I'm kind of thankful that Coach Marvel, Don Juan, and Coach Funaki having this time to have this season. And for Casey, because Casey and I we started this like a month and a half ago. And I think when Summertime managed to happen and it came around, and I think it was your match with Jaden. And I'm like, I think that's it. That was the seal that really wanted to bring up hybrid. So I want to say thanks to Casey for bringing all these guys in, and for you and for Sky, for Jaden and Diego to be in this series. So I want to say thanks to that. But we turn to you, because now the season is now done by the time that we're going to record this. So I always say this on the regular show, and this will be the exception. I always do this on the finale. You mentioned having advice to yourself to a 5-year-old you. Now, let's move this to an adolescent you. So the age range is between 10 and 19. If you were in that room as that adolescent you, and you're there face to face, what would you like to talk to him about?
I think I would tell myself to start sooner. And so for me, when I was younger, I kind of already knew that college was never going to be a thing for me. That was just solid. I couldn't do it. And so I gave myself a year after graduation to see if I wanted to make money, see if I still wanted to chase this dream. And then COVID happened. So that just kind of, all my plans just went out the window.
Right.
But I wish I would have started when I graduated high school.
Okay.
And I wish I was in better shape. I feel like that's something I would have, definitely told myself, like, hey, man, get in shape, do the cardio, do the work now, so you're not stressing about it later. Because I'm still stressing about it. I'm still, every single day, we go in, we try and do as much cardio as possible just to be better. But yeah, I would definitely just tell myself, start sooner and be ready, be more prepared. And to anyone that wants to be a wrestler, if anyone's listening to this, be prepared. It's a lot of work. You're going to have to sacrifice so much, but if you really want it, it'll be worth it.
So hype us up. What makes hybrid such a school for anyone who's pursuing the wrestling dreams here in Texas?
Well, you've been to hybrid, and I mean, what's the first thing you see as soon as you walk in that front door? The walls. What do you see on the walls? Mm-hmm. What do you see?
Yeah, so
like when you walk in hybrid,
the banners are there. The banners, the rings, like the rings themselves, and see how the school's set up. So that type of setup is what really makes hybrid such a unique school to go to.
Well, even like walking back a little bit, more into the building, like the lobby. When you first walk in the lobby, we have all the pictures on the wall and everyone that's been at hybrid, all the wrestlers and everyone that's kind of come in to teach us. I feel like for me, that's what makes us so special is we have so many people, and this is like through the graduates too. We've been through so many seminars. We have so much knowledge that has been dumped on us. And I feel like everyone's taken their own little piece of knowledge and used it to be better. And so for me, like what makes hybrid the school to join is just everyone's going to push you. Everyone's going to make sure that you're actually doing this to be a wrestler. You're not just doing it to be a part-timer. We're training for, full-time wrestling. That's our goal. So if you want to be pushed, if you want to really see how far you can go, hybrid's the way to go. And I'm so happy that I chose hybrid. I'm so happy that I was guided through this path. Again, going back to the beginning, I wouldn't change any of it for the world.
That's good. And I was going to ask about the seminars. Which one kind of made your mind blown seeing?
Oh man, we had a lot of seminars. I would say the one that kind of, I guess, blew my mind or really was the Gabe seminar that we talked about earlier, where I got to have my first match. That just opened the door for everything else, and that's all I needed was a kind of that opportunity to put my foot in the door, and thankfully I was able to just get it right in there. So for me, that's the one that I was just very thankful that I got to be a part of, and I'm very thankful. And of course, there's all the knowledge we learned from that seminar too. I mean, that's someone that works directly with WWE. That's so much knowledge. So
yeah, exactly.
It was great. It was such a great experience.
All right, this is awesome. So I have nothing left to give. You have the floor. And where can we find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms at the Armani Sage. You can just type in Armani Sage. I'm there. And then
not that hard.
So this will be out. Not that hard. No, I believe this is going to be out next Friday, right? So okay. So if you don't know, well, you know what? The match should be announced by then. United 2-0 this Friday or whenever this episode comes out. I'll be facing Casey Blackrose again. I'm going to take my title. He cheated. It was a fluke. And then that Sunday, it was actually just announced today. I get to make my new Texas debut alongside Rilo and Hit against the Kingdom and Jaden Valentino. So you can catch me there. I'm very excited for that match. We're going to kick their ass. Simple as that.
So it's a call to action for everyone here in Texas. And I've been doing this series for about 3 seasons of having these Texas wrestling schools. And if you've listened to this episode this far, and if you are part of a wrestling school here in Texas, I've had hybrid, I've had Reality of Wrestling and New Texas. And if for anyone who's interested in having this new season down the line, send me a DM, send me an email. It will be on the show notes. And these 3 schools have really helped a lot of what the Texas scene is really shaped up to be. So for those who are watching and listening, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for tuning in. And we are on to the regular show next week. Bye.